All right, so we're gonna attach our cuff. So cuff should be taking your cuff pattern piece that has been interfaced, and we're gonna bring right sides together, and you're gonna sew these two short sides with 5/8 of an inch seam allowance.
Oh, you showing how to do the cuff? Oh.
Yeah.
Did that already.
Once it is, well, we're attaching the cuff, so if you want to.
I'll come for the attaching
Okay.
part.
So we've got 5/8 stitching, and after you've done your stitching, you're gonna trim down your seam allowance to about 1/4. Make sure at the top and the bottom you're slashing on a little bit of an angle. So then our finished cuff is here. That's been turned right side out. You can see I've already trimmed down my seam allowance. Straight angle, angle. Okay. So flip that right side out, push out your corners, go to the iron and press again. Not the prettiest corner, but it's there. That one's a little better. All right, so after you've closed the inseam of your sleeve, you'll press your seam allowance towards the back, and the back, oh wait, my back is this way, sorry. 2 notches in your sleeve cap is back, 1 notch is front. You should still have your 2 rows of running stitch. If for whatever reason anything happened to those, you can always go back in and insert them again. But for attaching our cuff, what we're gonna do is just like with our collar, where we took one side of the cuff, we're gonna attach that first. So I'm gonna bring, and you'll see that my binding is still out. So my binding is gonna stay out. And yes, in the instructions, it tells you to put 2 rows of ease stitch. That's so that your fabric stops spraying. You don't need it, we're not easing anything. It's just reinforcement. So if you'd like to, you can insert the running stitches. And now I'm gonna run this edge of my cuff along the bottom edge of my
so
sleeve.
The crease is being lined up with the seam is being lined up with the notch, you said?
The seam is being lined up with the notch.
Okay.
My binding?
Yes.
Yeah, so where my seam allowance is where my binding begins.
Yes, okay.
So it's exactly like our placket for the front of the blouse. If you want to come around, otherwise I'm going to post this after class, okay? Okay, then we just continue the length of the cuff. So this is going to get a little funny looking. But just like with any other, like if you were sewing the inseam of your sleeve, you want to pin the full length of that seam before you start sewing, because things are going to shift. So for this guy, I'm going to bring my opposite binding, and my opposite binding, which is showing from the right, which is not showing from the right side, is going to stay turned in to my sleeve. So that's going to align with the opposite side of my cuff. Hungry? All right, so I apologize. I know this looks funky, but we just ease the rest of sleeve to cuff, and we're only attaching one side of the cuff first. So it's gonna be a 2-part video. You may have a notch in there that would line up to something. I definitely missed a notch when cutting my cuff, so bear with me. And I didn't sew personally, I did not sew my inseam of my sleeve at 5/8, so I have to ease in this bit here. So if Karen had one more hand, she would be helping me ease right now. Just be sure you have that stay stitch in place for your pleats.
Okay.
So that doesn't kind of move and stuff while you're sewing. Oh wait, well you don't have to do, yeah, we should do this as a 2-part. So let's run over to the machine and attach this.
What about the square?
What about the square?
This part?
The pleat should have a stay stitch in place so that it's not flopping around when you're attaching it. So we're gonna go to the machine and we're gonna attach just this bit here. And then my cuff will attach to my sleeve, okay?
Pause.
Sure.